জননীং শারদাং দেবীং রামকৃষ্ণং জগদ্গুরুং পাদপদ্মে তয়ো শ্রিত্বা প্রণমামি মুহুর্মুহুঃ। আজকে অধ্যাপক প্রদ্যোৎ কুমার বন্দ্যোপাধ্যায় এবং বিশিষ্ট ভক্ত শ্রী গিরিজাশঙ্কর শুক্ল স্মারক বক্তৃতা। প্রথমে অধ্যাপক প্রদ্যোৎ কুমার বন্দ্যোপাধ্যায়, জন্ম আনুমানিক 1935 খ্রিস্টাব্দে, বাংলাদেশের ফরিদপুর জেলার একটি প্রত্যন্ত গ্রামে। জীবনের প্রথমেই মানে শৈশবেই মা বাবাকে হারিয়ে অনাথ, সেই সঙ্গে স্মল পক্স মানে গুটি বসন্ত এর কারণে যে মূল দৃষ্টিশক্তি সেটাও ছোটোবেলা থেকে চলে গেল। প্রথমে বলে রাখি, এই প্রদ্যোৎদা আমাদের 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 নিজেদের মাস্টারমশাই, আমরা ওর কাছে পড়েছি। কি অদ্ভুত জীবন! নিকট আত্মীয়ের কাছ থেকে প্রাথমিক পড়াশোনা, তারপর দেশভাগ এবং ভাগ্যান্বেষণে প্রায় কপর্দক্ষীণ অবস্থায় কলকাতায় আসা। এটি চূড়ান্ত কঠিন পরিস্থিতির সম্মুখীন হতে হয়েছে। প্রবল অর্থাভাবে পড়াশোনা চালানো যখন প্রায় অসম্ভব, তখন স্রেফ শ্রী ভগবানের কৃপায় পাথুরিঘাটা রামকৃষ্ণ মিশনে স্বামী লোকেশ্বরানন্দজির কাছে আশ্রয় পাওয়া এবং পড়াশোনা চালিয়ে যাওয়া। তিনি প্রেসিডেন্সি কলেজ ভালো ছাত্র ছিলেন। প্রেসিডেন্সি কলেজে গণিতে স্নাতক, গণিত নিয়ে পড়াশোনা করেন। তিনি আমাদের বলেছেন, আমরা তারা সংস্কৃতে চলে এলেন কেন? সংস্কৃতে চলে আসেন, সংস্কৃত কলকাতা বিশ্ববিদ্যালয় থেকে সংস্কৃতে প্রথম শ্রেণীতে দ্বিতীয় হন। এর একটা আশ্চর্য মনে হবে, কারণটা আমাদের বলেছিলেন উনি, যে আমি হঠাৎ দেখলাম আমার তো চোখের দৃষ্টিশক্তি কম ছিল, বোর্ডে কিছু লেখা পড়তে পারতাম না। আর গণিতটা ছিল তখন সায়েন্স এবং হিউম্যানিটিস দুটো স্ট্রিমেই থাকতো, গণিত নিয়ে পড়তে পারত। এমএও হয়, এমএসসিও হয়। ওনার স্নাতক স্তরে সংস্কৃত ছিল। পাস কোর্সে ভালো নম্বর পেয়েছিলেন, অর্থাৎ তখন পাস কোর্স অনার্স কোর্স অত বাঁচাবাচি হতো না। তিনি প্রথম শ্রেণীতে তখন দ্বিতীয় স্থান অধিকার করেন এমএতে। আর প্রথম হন যিনি, তিনি তার পরবর্তীকালে সহধর্মিণী হয়েছিলেন। তিনিও প্রয়াত হয়েছেন সম্প্রতি। আর 1960 খ্রিস্টাব্দ থেকে নরেন্দ্রপুর কলেজ শুরু হলো এবং প্রথম দিন থেকেই তিনি ওইখানকার অধ্যাপক। আমাদের যে নরেন্দ্রপুরে স্কুলটি আছে সেখানেও তিনি শিক্ষকতা করেছেন। কলকাতা বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ের অতিথি শিক্ষকও ছিলেন। কর্মকালীন মানে কর্মের মধ্যেই থেকে তিনি পিএইচডি করেছেন বাংলা এবং ইংরেজিতে। তার মানে ইংরেজিতেও এমএ করেছিলেন যাদবপুর থেকে নাইটে। অদ্ভুত সংগ্রামের জীবন। তারপর এমএ পাস করার পর কাব্য মীমাংসা তীর্থ ডিগ্রি লাভ করেছিলেন। আমাদের কাছে আশ্চর্য তো লাগতো যে কী করে পড়াশোনা করতেন। রাস্তায় চলতে খুব অসুবিধে হতো, কিন্তু হার মানতেন না। 74 খ্রিস্টাব্দের থেকে রামকৃষ্ণ মিশন ইনস্টিটিউট অফ কালচারের স্কুল অফ ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজে সংস্কৃতের শিক্ষক হিসাবে যোগদান করেছিলেন। 74 থেকে 2010 কত বছর হয়। সেই সূত্রে যোগাযোগ ঘটেছিল অজস্র পরিণত বয়স্ক ছাত্রছাত্রীদের সঙ্গে, যাদের অনেকের সাথেই শেষ দিন পর্যন্ত অটুট ছিল তার সম্পর্ক। ওনার যখন শরীর যায় তখন একটা অনুষ্ঠান হয়েছিল, আমি গেছিলাম। সব ওই বৃদ্ধ সব ছাত্ররা এসেছিলেন, মানে ইনস্টিটিউট অফ কালচারের গোল পার্কের ছাত্ররা। ভালো লাগছিল খুব। আর কি ছিলেন, তিনি মাধ্যমিক পরীক্ষার প্রধান শিক্ষক ছিলেন, কলকাতা বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ের পরীক্ষক ছিলেন, গেস্ট লেকচারার ছিলেন, বিভিন্ন বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ের প্রশ্নপত্র তৈরি করতেন, ব্যাংকিং সার্ভিস কমিশনের উত্তরপত্রের মূল্যায়ন করতেন। আমি তাকে বলেছিলাম যে এই এত কাজ করছেন কেন, তো স্ট্রেস দিচ্ছেন কেন, শুনতেন না। তিনি যে হ্যান্ডিক্যাপ্ট হয়েও হ্যান্ডিক্যাপ্ট নন সেটা দেখাবার জন্যই যেন তার সর্বদিকে মানে শিক্ষা জগতের কোনো ব্রাঞ্চে তার ছিল না, গতিবিধি ব্যাহত হয়নি। ব্যক্তিগত জীবনে আবৃত্তি নাটকে পারদর্শী ছিলেন, গণিতে ছিল উৎসাহ প্রচুর, সমকালীন খবর খুব নিয়ম করে রাখতেন, এইসব হতো। আরেকটা কথা বলি, আমাদের নানা রকম মানে কোয়ারিজ থাকতো সংস্কৃত নিয়ে, বাংলা নিয়ে। উনি প্রায় অন্ধ, প্রায় দৃষ্টিহীন, কিন্তু আমাদের সমস্ত ডিকশনারি ছিলেন আর কি। আমরা যা প্রশ্ন করতাম, যে যা কিছু জানার ছিল সেসব জানতাম। তারপর তিনি যখন চলে যান আমাদের খুব অসুবিধা হয়েছিল। এবং আমার সঙ্গে আরেকজন ছিলেন অধ্যাপক, তিনি এখনও বলেন যে কার কাছে যাব। আমি যখন বলি এখন সমীরণদা আছেন, সমীরণ চক্রবর্তী মশাই, এখন ওর কাছে আমরা ভিড় করি। আর একটা লোক পাওয়া যায় না, জানেন, এত বিদ্যুৎসাহী। আর নাটক শুনতে ভালোবাসতেন। আচ্ছা, কবিতা অনর্গল বলে যেতেন, মুখস্থ বলে যেতেন। কী করে করতেন, রবীন্দ্রনাথের কবিতা এইসব। তা 18 সালে পড়ে যান একবার সিঁড়ি দিয়ে, সেই হলো ঝামেলা। তারপর থেকে আর সুস্থ হননি কখনো। প্রস্টেট গ্রন্থি, হৃদযন্ত্র, কিডনি এসব সমস্যা ছিল, কিন্তু স্মৃতিশক্তি ছিল প্রখর। লম্বা কবিতা আবৃত্তি করে অচেনা অতিথিকে অনায়াসে মুগ্ধ করতেন। নিজেকে নিয়ত ঝালিয়ে নিতে প্রস্তুত রাখতে ছিল প্রবল আগ্রহ। চলে যাওয়ার আগের রাতেও তার স্ত্রীর সাথে, বুঝতেই পারছেন তিনি ছিলেন সংস্কৃতের পণ্ডিত মানুষ, মেঘদূতম মূল কাব্যগ্রন্থের পাঠ শুনেছেন। 2020 খ্রিস্টাব্দে 19 অক্টোবর লক্ষ্মী পুজোর আগের রাতে রামকৃষ্ণ লোকের উদ্দেশ্যে যাত্রা। প্রদ্যোতদার এই বক্তৃতাটি, স্মারক বক্তৃতাটি তার পুত্র রাজীব এসছে, রাজীব বন্দ্যোপাধ্যায়, এবং রাজীবের মা এখন গত হয়েছেন শিপ্রা বন্দ্যোপাধ্যায়। তারপর প্রদ্যোতদার পৌত্রী রাজন্যা, পৌত্র অর্কদ্বীপ এবং পুত্রবধূ অনিন্দিতা, এদের পৃষ্ঠপোষকতায় আয়োজিত। গিরিজাশঙ্কর শুক্লা, এই আরেকজন মহান মানুষ, মিতভাষী, শুভ্রকেশ, সদাহাস্য। শুক্লাজি মিশনের সন্ন্যাসী মহারাজ বৃন্দ অনেকের কাছে মিস্টার শুক্লা বা শুক্লাজি নামে পরিচিত। 1899 4 এপ্রিল উত্তরপ্রদেশে ফতেপুর জেলার খাজুয়া গ্রামে রক্ষণশীল সম্ভ্রান্ত ব্রাহ্মণ পরিবারে জন্মগ্রহণ করেন। 3 বছর বয়সে মাকে হারান, 7 বছর বয়সে পিতৃহারা হন এবং কাকার বাড়িতেই লালিত পালিত হন। শিক্ষা বেশি দূর এগোয়নি শিক্ষা, কিন্তু জ্ঞান অর্জন তিনি করেছিলেন এবং ধর্মীয়, সাংস্কৃতিক এবং তাত্ত্বিক মহাপুরুষদের জীবনী সংক্রান্ত বইয়ের পাঠক হয়ে উঠেছিলেন। তিনি রেলওয়েতে কাজ করতেন এবং একসময় ডিভিশনাল অফিসার, কর্মী ও কল্যাণ এই বিভাগে তিনি শেষ অবসরের সময় কাজ করতেন। আর দক্ষিণ পূর্ব রেলওয়ের প্রধান অফিস গার্ডেন রিচ থেকে অবসর নেন। আর সেই সময় খুব কম সংখ্যক ভারতীয় এই পদে ছিলেন। তখনকার নিয়ম অনুযায়ী তিনি পেনশন প্রাপক ছিলেন না। এবং তার স্ত্রী এবং অন্যান্যরা সব গ্রামে থাকতেন। তার এক পুত্র এবং দুই কন্যা। পুত্র ওএনজিসি ডিরেক্টর ছিলেন। দুই কন্যার মধ্যে বড় মেয়ে রেলওয়ে অফিসারের সাথে ও ছোট মেয়ে আর্মি ডাক্তারের সাথে বিবাহ হয়। শুক্লাজি ডিভিশনাল অফিসার পদে থাকাকালীন সমাজসেবামূলক কাজের সঙ্গে যুক্ত ছিলেন এবং রেল কর্মীদের নিয়ে হেল্প দি প্যাসেঞ্জার স্কোয়াড এর একটা সমিতি গঠন করেন। 59-এ চাকরি থেকে অবসর নেন। এই লেক রোডে ভ্রমণ করতেন। সেখানেই একজন তাকে খবর দেন যে নরেন্দ্রপুরে লোক শিক্ষা পরিষদ একটা আছে, সেখানে যান, কাজ করবেন। আর ওখানে লোকেশ্বরানন্দজি আছেন। তিনি বললেন যে ঠিক আছে, ISER ইনস্টিটিউট অফ সোশ্যাল এডুকেশন অ্যান্ড রিক্রিয়েশন এতে যোগ দেন। বললাম শুক্লাজি আপনি ওতে কাজ করুন। আর সে সময় স্বামী প্রভানন্দজি বরুণ মহারাজ ওই ISER এর ডিরেক্টর ছিলেন। ওর অধীনে তিনি কাজ শুরু করেন। তারপর ওইটারই তিনি আবার হেড হয়ে যান ওই ডিপার্টমেন্টের। কারণ বরুণ মহারাজ তখন স্কুলে চলে যান হেডমাস্টার হয়ে। এবং দূরবর্তী এবং বিভিন্ন গ্রাম কেন্দ্রে ঘুরে রাস্তাঘাট সারায়, বয়স্ক শিক্ষার প্রসার, দুস্থ গরিব গ্রামবাসীদের ত্রাণের ব্যবস্থা, এইসব আমাদের যে নরেন্দ্রপুরের মাধ্যমে হতো তিনি সব পরিচালনা করতেন। খেলাধুলায় উৎসাহ ছিল প্রচণ্ড। বিবেকানন্দ চ্যালেঞ্জশীল শুরু করেন। রামকৃষ্ণ কৃষি মেলা হয়। এই কৃষি মেলার আয়োজন করতেন। এক সপ্তাহ ধরে আমাদের কমপ্লেক্সই হতো, বিশাল ব্যাপার, খেলার মাঠে দেখার মতো। স্মরণিকা প্রকাশ করতেন। সেটি তারপরে চলে যায়। তারপর মুক্তানন্দজি, অশোকানন্দজি এরা সব আসেন এবং আমরা ছিলাম। সবার সঙ্গে তার ছিল বড় সহৃদয় ব্যবহার। বীরেশ্বরানন্দ শ্রীমৎ স্বামী বীরেশ্বরানন্দজির কাছ থেকে দীক্ষা নেন। প্রতি বছর তিনি ইংরেজিতে স্বামীজির জীবনী নিয়ে একটি সর্বভারতীয় রচনা প্রতিযোগিতার আয়োজন করতেন। তার সহকর্মীরা যারা ছিলেন তারা সবাই গ্রামের দরিদ্র যুবক। কর্মই পূজা, এই ছিল আদর্শ। এখনও যারা নন্দপুর যান দেখেন ওই যে টেলরিং শপ, ওইসব তার কীর্তি। ওইখানে উনি বসতেন। আজকের এই যে স্মারক বক্তৃতা, স্মারক বক্তৃতাটি তার প্রপৌত্র অধ্যাপক সুধীর মিশ্র, তিনি IIT কানপুরের অধ্যাপক। Has he come? Sudhir Babu? No. He used to come generally. Usually he used to come from Kanpur. এবং তার স্ত্রী বৎসলা মিশ্র, দুই কন্যা তিশা এবং তোয়ারা, তয়বয় রয়াকার, এবং তার স্বামী নিশান্ত সিং, এদের পৃষ্ঠপোষকতায় আয়োজিত। আজকে এই বক্তৃতা দুটি দেবেন। দুটি বক্তৃতার বক্তা হলেন শ্রীমৎ স্বামী শুদ্ধিদানন্দজি মহারাজ, সেক্রেটারি অদ্বৈত আশ্রম, and his subject is the world is Mithya, a talk on Advaita Vedanta. So I would request Swami Shuddhidananda Maharaj to begin his speech. Title of his speech being "The World is Mithya, a talk on Advaita Vedanta." Let us listen to him. You know, he's a marvelous speaker, you know. I expected that the hall would be full to the doors, but I do not know why seats are so many seats are vacant. Anyway, he is the same explosive speaker, always. Always, he speaks always the new things and entertain his listeners. He will see and enjoy. Maharaj, would you sit over there? Take it. Take it. Paratmanamekam jagadbijamadyam niriham nirakaram onkar vedyam yato jayate palyate yena vishvam tamisham bhajeli yate yatra vishvam. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. My very reverential pranams to Swami Shuddhidananda Maharaj and to all the revered sannyasins seated here. And my pranams to all of you also. Brahman in so many forms. Now this is going to be the main theme of this talk. Brahman in so many forms. The subject is going to be a bit difficult. Difficult in one sense, and very easy in another sense. And before I get into the subject, I just would like to tell that it is always a great pleasure to be here in this Institute of Culture, in this Vivekananda hall. I don't know why. There is a totally different ambience here. I simply enjoy coming here and sharing my views. Many times I have come here and I have shared my views standing on this very dais. I simply love this place so much. So today's this talk is going to be centered on the highest standpoint. Actually, we need to train our minds to look at everything from the highest standpoint. This is what all the great teachers have taught us. Actually speaking, there is nothing like teaching of this person or that person. All the teachings are essentially the universal teachings coming from the Upanishads. So here, the question will be, what is this thing which we are experiencing here with our sense organs, which we are referring to as a world, Jagat? What is its status? About this world and Jagat, there have been several theories all over the world. Several theories about creation. We all live with the idea that this world has been created. And whenever we talk about creation, there is always a creator.
You cannot talk about a creation without a creator. No, everything will be under the lens of scrutiny. Upanishads will not spare anything. It's a bold, absolutely bold inquiry into what is truth. So as I said, there are several theories all over the world. Western philosophy, range of different ideas about creation, different intellectuals which have kept before us the different ideas about what this creation is. Semitic religions, they have their own idea about creation. This world, that world, heaven, etc., etc., etc. Somebody has created from within, from outside, a creator who is sitting up in the heaven beyond the clouds. After death, we go there. All kinds of ideas we have. Even in India itself, we have different shades of ideas about what this creation is. These are all so-called different theories propounded by intellectuals or thinkers, at the most thinkers. And they're all speculative. I always tell one point. Speculative philosophy and speculative religion will never reach the truth. The ultimate reality is not a subject matter of speculation. All the problems in this world about what the ultimate reality is owing to the fight between the different theories which have been speculated by different thinkers at different points of time. Speculative religion, speculative philosophy, theories. Theories all come from the intellect of the human being who is steeped in ignorance. They cannot show us what the truth is. In contrast to these speculative theories, we have the Upanishads. The discoveries made by the great rishis, they are not speculating about the ultimate reality. They are not speculating about creation. They are giving their experiential conclusion. Something which proceeds from direct experience, anubhuti. So what we find in the Upanishads, it's not speculative. It's a direct transmission of what the truth is, which these great rishis have experienced from time to time. So we are going to look at this subject not from the standpoint of, if at all we want to discuss about creation from the standpoint of different schools of philosophies, you can have several sessions on it. There is no end to it. Here we are going to look at the subject from the standpoint of, from the lens of the experiences of the rishis. And there are no ifs and buts in the words of the Upanishads. That's the striking feature of the Upanishads. No ifs and no buts. It's conclusive, indubitable. The clarity is simply striking. And it transmits that clarity into our own hearts. That is the great blessing coming from only the Upanishads. Anyhow, so we are going to look into the subject from the standpoint of the Upanishads. The Upanishads, if you just read it very carefully, the great propounder of the Upanishadic Advaitic vision, Bhagavan Shankaracharya, he says a very beautiful thing. He says that we are all sick today. Let me repeat this point. Shankaracharya says that we as human beings, we are all suffering from a sickness. We are all ailing. We are all suffering from a disease. And we have to become healthy. And Upanishad is going to show us the way to become healthy. He says in one of his bhashyas, he says, you see, just like a person who is sick, if his disease is cured, he regains his natural state of health. Health is our natural state. And disease is caused owing to something extraneous. And when the cause of the disease is removed, the disease is cured, we regain our normal and natural state of health. Beautiful idea. Similarly, he says, we are all suffering from a chronic disease. And unless this chronic disease is cured, we shall never regain our normal and natural state of health. And what is this disease that we are suffering from? He says the disease which we are suffering from, it is our unquestioned and absolute sense of realism about duality. Again, I repeat this point. This is going to be very striking because we haven't trained our mind to think in this line. So it is going to be a bit challenging to the so-called the listener's mind. But if we are seekers of truth, this should be the most fascinating kind of a inquiry into what truth is. So Shankaracharya says is that, what is the disease? Our unquestioned sense of realism about this dualism. What is this dualism which we are talking about? Beautiful. It is a fact of human experience. Everything which the Upanishads talk about, it is all profound inquiry and investigation into human experiences itself. The truth that we are hunting for, the truth which we are seeking, it is found within our human experience itself. It is not lying somewhere outside the human experience. We are using some big terms like God, Ishvara, Bhagavan, and all those things. Where is this entity called God to be found? It is present right within the human experience itself. We have not trained our minds to look into what is happening with us and what is the center or the focus of all these events which is going on in our life. So, what is this unquestioned sense of realism about dualism? If we just look into our present state of human awareness, we can see our awareness is broken into 3 points. I always say it is 3 dots. Or you may say the 3 angles of a triangle. What are these 3 dots? 1 dot or 1 angle is this so-called human being, this individual, this jiva, I. Second angle, the second so-called dot which we need to connect is this so-called world which we are experiencing through our sense organs. Amazing thing. We have our 2 eyes, ears, nose, tongue, all these organs. In and through these organs, we are experiencing something outside, which we are referring to using the term world or jagat. And what is the third point? Third point is we are thinking that separated from me and separated from this thing which we are referring to as jagat, there is a third thing called God or Ishvara. We don't know where. Then we start imagining about that entity in this way, in that way, in temples, here and there. So these are the 3 dots or the 3 angles of the human awareness in which we find they are all mutually existing, separated, existing mutually distanced and separated. I, seeing this world separated from me, and I think that there is a third entity called God, which is presently I'm not experiencing it, and I'm in search of it as if it is something distinct from me and the world. And we have never questioned this, whether this is the true state, this is the truth or not. We have an unquestioned sense of realism about this. We have never questioned it. And within this framework, all our strivings are going on without actually questioning whether this mutual distancing is right or wrong. And as long as we are existing in this framework, with an absolute sense of realism about this mutual distancing and separation, no matter what you do, this continues. This is a state of hypnosis, Vivekananda says. We are all living in a state of hypnosis in which we have been hypnotized. It is just like an hypnotism. We have been hypnotized to believe that I am an individual. It's an hypnosis. If you hypnotize someone, make him think about himself what he or she is not, we begin to believe in it. We all have been hypnotized to think that I means this alone, and this is the world, and there is a third entity called world. This is the state of hypnosis in which we are all living. This is what Shankaracharya is referring to as the disease which we are suffering from. And what is the cure of this disease? If this disease has to be cured, the disease will be cured when we understand the truth, which is non-dualism or Advaita. This mutual distancing between me and world and God is existing only in ignorance. And as long as we don't probe into it, as long as you don't investigate into it, this will continue. This framework is not going to come to an end. Life after life, it goes on. And just like every disease has got its symptoms, the symptoms of this disease is what? You see, we are investigating into the human experiences. The symptoms of this disease is the first outcome of separating ourselves from the supreme reality is going to be bhayam, fear. Everybody is gripped by an inexplicable sense of fear. We don't know. Even when there is no occasion for fear, there is some inexplicable experience of fear in the depths of everybody's heart. Symptom. See the words of Shankaracharya, so beautiful. Everyone is sick and ailing. And the symptom of this disease is what? First symptom is fear, bhayam. Bhayas agnistapati, bhayastapati suryaha, bhayadendrascha agnischa, mrityurdhavati panchamaha. Upanishads. Everyone is gripped by a sense of fear, a sense of insecurity, a sense of incompleteness, apurnata, a sense of dissatisfaction, discontentment, atripti, unending desires, kamana, rag and dvesha, attachment and aversion. And then the cycle of birth and death, this punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jathare shayanam, iha samsari kaludustari, kripaya pari, pahi murari. Electrifying words of Shankaracharya. The cycle of birth and death goes on and on. As long as this disease continues, the cycle of birth and death is not going to come to an end. It will go on. This is what is our state of being ailing or being gripped by a disease. What is this disease? Once again, let me repeat it before I go into the real idea of Advaita. This absolute and unquestioned sense of realism in dualism. That I am existing separated from this world, and there is a third entity called God somewhere we don't know. It's a free rein for the mind to imagine. Everybody is imagining about God in his way, her way. Every race imagines about God in its own way. All different shades of ideas about God. Upanishad asks this question, I want that God which can be experienced. Yat sakshad aparokshad brahma tanme vyachakshasva. Talk to me about that reality which can be experienced. Don't talk about imaginary things. That is the boldness of the scripture called Upanishads. Wonderful. So this is the disease that we are suffering from. And if we have to cure this disease, the medicine for this disease is Advaita Bhavaha or Advaita Drishti. Shankaracharya says beautifully. Rogartasyeva roga nivritau swasthata yatha dukkhatmakasyatmano dvaita prapanchu upashame swasthataha advaita bhavaha prayojanam. Now look at the words of all these great masters. What is the medicine for this disease? Advaita Drishti. As long as we don't cultivate, he's not talking about Advaita Anubhuti straight away. Advaita Anubhuti will come. But what precedes Advaita Anubhuti is Advaita Drishti, Advaita Bhava. Unless our mental framework is soaked and filled with this Advaitic vision, we are not going to overcome this disease and its symptoms. And look at Sri Ramakrishna's words. I always say, it's very interesting. Sri Ramakrishna's most important teaching, in my opinion, of course it's my personal opinion, anyone can differ from it. You will find all kinds of different shades of teachings in his Kathamrit. But for me, if you ask, the most important teaching of Sri Ramakrishna, but which is least discussed, never you will find that point discussed in any of the so-called Bhakta Sammelans. Sri Ramakrishna says, tie the knowledge of Advaita to the corner of your cloth and then lead your life. Shankaracharya. Amazing. Why tie the knowledge of Advaita to the corner of your cloth? Without that, we are never going to come out of this mess into which we have fallen. This unquestioned sense of realism about this awareness which is broken into three angles. Me, the world, and third entity called God. God knows where it is. We are imagining. And we are waiting for God to appear in our life. Is God going to come from somewhere? Upanishad challenges these ideas. If God has to come from somewhere, that is no God at all. If God is not present in my experience this very moment, then it is questionable. Beautiful. So, the main thing. Upanishads say, Shankaracharya says that we are ailing from this disease, and the cure for this disease is this Advaita Bhava or Advaita Drishti. So beautiful. Now this Advaita Drishti is not going to come just like that. Some conditions have to be fulfilled. We may talk about cultivating this Advaitic Drishti or Advaita Gyan Achale Bante Hobe. Jodi Advaita Gyan Achale Bante Hobe, tar kichu conditions ache. It is not going to come just like that. What is the main condition? Of course, as I said, this is meant for the seekers of truth. We have to first find out, we have to ask this question to ourselves, are we really seeking the truth? You have to ask this question to yourself. Am I a seeker of truth? What is the meaning of religion? Religion is not something which we do on the surface. It is essentially the search for truth. I want to know my own true nature. Am I limited to this small body-mind complex? I want to know what is the nature of this thing which I am seeing through my senses. Is it really existing or is it something else? I want to know the truth of everything. It is pure science of the ultimate reality. So some conditions have to be fulfilled. What are the conditions? Number one, Viveka. Number two, Vairagya. Without Viveka and Vairagya, this pursuit or this investigation into the supreme reality cannot be even started. The starting point of this wonderful investigation into the reality is what? It is Viveka, Vairagya, and Shraddha. It's a beautiful point, Shraddha. A mind which is so positive, receptive to the words of the scriptures, And a beautiful another point which I'm remembering, Shankaracharya mentions this, to be away from all perverted arguments. A truth cannot be sought by those people who are given to all kinds of perverted arguments. He makes 2 points. Kutarkika bheda drishti, he says, this kutarkika bheda drishti. And nastikavadis, those who don't believe in the existence of a higher reality. Some people take pride in saying, oh, we don't believe in God. They think they are making a very big statement. We don't believe in the existence of any higher reality. Nastikas. These Nastikas and logicians, that is what Tarkikas, they will never come to the truth. So what is needed is a childlike simple heart which is open to receive the highest statements coming from the Upanishads and the Guru. That is the first condition. So Viveka, Vairagya, Shraddha, and a heart which is open to receive the truths which the Upanishads speak about. That is the condition. If we have these minimum things, then our journey to understand the truth has started. Let me tell you one thing. What I am talking is not theory. Please don't take it in that way. This is not a theory. Every word can be verified, provided we are ready to lead that kind of a life. What I am going to talk about, it's not theory. These are all the experiences of the rishis, and we should not even think that, no, it is not meant for us. It is only meant for those rishis. Another big obstacle, we are householders. Very often we find this kind of a counterpoint which is presented when we study the Upanishads. Oh, Swamiji, you are a sannyasi, you can talk about it in this way, but we are all householders, nothing doing. Upanishads doesn't make any such distinction. Upanishads is telling the truth to the humanity, no matter who we are and what we are. Every human being can experience this, provided certain basic things have to be taken care of. That's the only condition. If that condition is fulfilled, this experience is open for everyone, anywhere, anytime. That is the universality of this religion of the Upanishads. That is why Vivekananda has said, this Upanishadic religion alone can be the universal religion of the future. It's pure science of consciousness. Anyhow. So, these are the conditions which we have to fulfill before we try to understand what this Advaita is. Now, you all have heard that wonderful statement, which Shankaracharya makes, is immortal utterance. In 2 lines, he sums up the ultimate reality so beautifully, beyond which there is nothing to be talked about. But it is very, very difficult to grasp and comprehend. What does he say? Brahma Satyam, Jagat Mithya, Jiva Brahmaiva, Na Aparaha. 2 lines. All that the so-called, the Vedic wisdom has to convey to humanity has been packed in these 2 simple sentences. He says, Brahman alone is true. The thing which you think, this world, as a separated second entity, it is Mithya. What you are thinking about Jiva and Jagat, this Jiva and Jagat is nothing but Brahman and Brahman alone. In ignorance, you are thinking that a second entity called Jiva and Jagat is existing. Now this is going to be the main investigation. Is there a separated entity called Jiva and Jagat existing? That is the main investigation which we have to get into. That is the main investigation. So, when we look into this great statement, Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya, Brahman has been said to be Satyam. What do we mean by Satyam? How do we define Satyam? I will put it in a very simple language. Satyam means that which never goes away, which cannot go away. Satyam is that which never goes away. Trikala abadhita. That which is trikala abadhita means that which remains in all the 3 points of time. in past, in present, and in future. This entity is always existing. You cannot think about its non-existence. You cannot deny it. No one can deny it. It is impossible. In all the states of human experiences, whether it is waking state, or dream state, or sleep state, something which is always existing, that alone is Satyam. So, if you just look into the human experiences, do we experience anything which belongs to this category? In our transactional plane, whatever we experience through our sense organs, the question is, do we really experience anything which belongs to this category of Trikala Abhaditatvam? We don't experience anything which never goes away. Here, everything is simply evaporating. I would prefer to use the word evaporating. Your body, your mind, your senses, everything is just an evaporating something. It's all going away. You try to hold it, you can't hold it. Your youth, your beauty, your wealth, you mention it. You try to hold on to anything, everything is a disappearing entity. And the question is it really even existing? Seeker of truth. We have to be bold seekers of truth. Vedanta and the Upanishad is meant for the boldest and the best, not for weak minds, not for those minds who want to cling that is false. Again, I repeat, Vedanta is not meant for weak-hearted people, those who want to cling to our infatuations and delusions. Those who have a love affair with fancies. Vedanta is not meant for those people who have a love affair with fancies. Vedanta is meant for those who want the pure and naked truth. So here, do we experience anything which is not going away? Everything is a vanishing entity. Better to say everything is just evaporating. Pratikshanam anyatha subhavaha. Drishta nashta subhavaha. As the great Shankara says, beautiful. So, Jagat is Mithya. Brahman is Satyam. Now, what do we mean by Mithya? So, we have seen Brahman is Satyam. There is one entity which never goes away. Now, that is the thing which we are trying to find out. It is there, but it is not being perceived. What we are perceiving, everything is evaporating. Again, I repeat. What is actually existing is not being perceived by anybody here. And what we are perceiving through our senses, it is all evaporating. Every moment it is just disappearing. You can't hold on to anything here. The more you try to hold on to, the more it will make you shed tears. That is why we all suffer in life. There is no end to human suffering as long as... That is why Shankaracharya mentioned, this is a state of disease. This is not our true state of health. Achha, before going ahead, what is the Sanskrit word for health? It's a beautiful thing. The Sanskrit word for health is what? Swasthata. Swasthata, Shankaracharya says. Swasthya, is it not? What a beautiful term. Shankaracharya says, Dvaita prapancha upashame swasthata. We will become swastha. When the so-called our sense of realism and dualism will be treated, when this disease will be treated, we will become swastha. Swastha means what? Swastha is made up of two terms, beautiful terms. Swastha is made up of two terms called swa and stha. Swa means what? One's own self. What is one's own true self? It is the Atman. And stha means what? To be established there. When we become established in our own true self, which is the Atman, we will become swastha. We will become healthy. Our disease will be cured. What a beautiful interpretation of reality. So Upanishad's main concern is to make us healthy, swastha. Today we are all aswastha. It wants us to become swastha, and we will become swastha when we will be established in the vision of truth, which is the Atman. Anyhow, so Brahma Satyam, Jagat Mithya. So we have seen Satyam is only one thing, which is Brahman, which is Trikala Abadita. But Jagat is referred to as Mithya. Now what is this meaning of Mithya? This is a very, very sensitive area where people, generally those who are already trained in this parampara, they understand it correctly. Otherwise we misinterpret this term Mithya, which totally spoils the whole thing. This Jagat which we are experiencing through our senses, it is termed to be Mithya. What does Mithya really mean? Usually if you just look into the English translations of our books, and you will find Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya, we translate it as saying Brahman is real and the world is unreal. Mithya is translated to be unreal. It's wrong. No one says that the world is unreal. Then what is the meaning of this term Mithya? There are several definitions of Mithya. And all these so-called several definitions of Mithya, they all have been derived from the great Shankaracharya's essential idea of what Mithyatvam is. Swami Vivekananda says, the best definition of what Mithya is, what Maya is, was given for the first time by this great teacher, Shankaracharya. The best definition. What is the meaning of Maya and what is the meaning of Mithyatvam? So there are several definitions like in the Vedanta we'll find Sad, Asad, Vilakshanatvam, Mithya, Anirvachaniyatvam, Mithya, Jnana Badhitvam, Mithya, Avidya Kalpitatvam, Mithya, Adhisthana Satta Ashrayatvam, Mithya, and so on. These are all different shades of definitions of Mithya. Don't worry, I'll just simplify it, these Sanskrit terms. The simple meaning I'm going to present to all of you. All these different ideas of Mithyatvam are derived from what this great teacher Shankara mentions in his works. If you have to understand what this Mithyatvam is, he says, Mithya is that, this Jagat is Mithya means what? There is a definition there, he says, Sannapi asannapi ubhayatmikanu. Bhinnapi abhinnapi ubhayatmikanu. Sangapi anangapi ubhayatmikanu. Mahadbhuta anirvachaniya rupa, he says. What does it mean? He says that this world is a very mysterious entity. Why it is mysterious entity? He says that about this, what we are experiencing here, you cannot say it is real. You cannot say it is Sat. Why? Because it is an evaporating entity. Just now we have seen this world which we are experiencing through our senses, it is a vanishing entity, it is going away. How can you say it is real? It goes away. You cannot say it is real. Then can we say it is unreal? Shankaracharya says, you cannot even say it is unreal. You cannot say it is unreal. For the time being we are experiencing it. How do you say that it is not being experienced? Something is being experienced. So what will you talk about this so-called strange, mysterious experience which we are having every moment of our life? Through our senses, we are experiencing this mysterious thing called world, about which we cannot say it is real, about which we cannot say it is unreal. All that we can say is, Shankaracharya is saying, Mahadbhutam. It's a great wonder. Anirvachaniya rupam. It is inscrutable. It is indescribable. You cannot categorize this experience into this compartment or that compartment. You cannot compartmentalize it. It is a mysterious thing. But about Brahman, there is no doubt. Brahman is absolutely true. This is mysterious. About this, we can neither say it is real, nor can we say it is unreal. To put it in one simple line, it is an experience of something which is not actually existing. Now, what do you mean by that? We go beyond. It goes beyond all logic and reasoning. That is what is the definition of Maya. Maya cannot be captured within the framework of logic and reasoning. So here, what we are experiencing is very mysterious. All that we can talk about, it is Mahadbhutam. It's a great wonder. It's an experience of something which is actually speaking not existing, but still it is being experienced. You cannot deny the experience. At the same time, just because it is being experienced, it doesn't become real either. Mahadbhutam. That is the power of Maya, the play of Shakti which is going on. Actually, this definition comes where Shankaracharya describes Shakti, Paramesha Shakti. Beautiful. Now, to understand this, Shankaracharya in his commentary, he gives a beautiful illustration. What is this so-called mysterious thing called world? Shankaracharya says in his Bhashya, it is just like a painting on a canvas. Beautiful thing. In his Bhashya he says, what is this world? It is just like a painting on a canvas. There is a canvas on which we have a beautiful painting, is it not? The Sanskrit word is so beautiful. Chitrita iva patam, or patachitravat. This what we are experiencing, it is just like patachitram. Patachitram means what? Just like a painting on a canvas. Now, during Shankaracharya's time, that was the only thing which was available to him. So he has used that as an illustration to illustrate what this world is. He has used the term patachitravat. At that time, during Shankaracharya's time, Chalachitra was not existing. You know Chalachitra? Movie. Is it not? The cinema. Chalachitram is movie and Patachitram is just a painting on a canvas. During his time, the technology of Chalachitram was not there. Had it been there, he would have definitely used this illustration of Chalachitravat. This world is just like a movie seen on a screen, just like a painting on a canvas. See, we are trying to understand Jagat Mithyatvam. Is Jagat a second real entity existing apart from Brahman, which is real? That is a question. So if you take the illustration of this movie, we all have seen movies, we have gone to the cinema theaters. When we enter into a cinema hall, you go and sit on the seat and the movie starts. And for 2 hours we watch a nice movie. And if you ask this question, for 2 hours, what is that thing which we were seeing? This is the question. I repeat this question, it's a very important thing. When you are watching a movie, the question is, for 2 hours, what is that thing which you were seeing through your eyes? An unwise person will say that, oh, I was watching a beautiful movie. There was romance, there was comedy, there was emotions, there was action, and all those things. He is glued to something which is going on. But a wise person will say, for 2.5 hours, I was actually looking at the screen. When you sit and watch a movie, tell me, what is actually existing there? Is the movie really existing? What is actually existing is screen and screen alone. Any doubt? For 2.5 hours, you sit and watch a movie. Actually, you were continuously seeing only the screen. Any doubt? Then what is the status of the movie? Is the movie a second real separated entity existing separated from the screen? Even when you were watching the movie, what was actually existing was screen and screen alone. Nothing else existed. That entire movie was nothing but the screen and screen alone. This is what that great teacher Shankara says. This movie called Jagat and Jiva is nothing but Brahman and Brahman alone. Brahman is that screen. Atman is that screen on which this movie of Jagrat, Sapna, Sushupti is going on. Endlessly it is going on. Let it go on. Where is the problem? Problem lies only in ignorance. When we become enlightened, or when you are pointed out at the truth, you will begin to see things differently. It is a matter of experience. As I said, see, we have never probed into what we are experiencing. We have an unquestioned sense of realism about Dualism. We think that I am existing separately. This, what we are experiencing as world, is separated from me, and there is a third entity called God sitting somewhere. But the truth is that all this is just like a movie which is being played on the screen of the Atman. And you are that screen. You are that screen called Atman. This is what the Upanishads teaches us. This is your true nature. When we realize our true nature as that screen called the Atman, on which this Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti called movie is going on, you will become swastha. We will become healthy. The true way of becoming healthy is to realize one's own true nature as the Atman, as that screen on which this movie is going on. What a beautiful illustration. Patachitravat, Charachitravat, Shankaracharya says. Immortal words. Plain, naked truth. No imagination, no mumbo-jumbo, not God here and there. Now I can go on with several illustrations. Time is already up. Several illustrations to further clarify this point. One more illustration let us take from our own experience. We all dream, is it not? Every day we see dreams. In the dream, we have the same kind of a world which we are experiencing here. Every day when we dream, we undergo the same kind of experience which we are experiencing here. And when the dream is going on, for the time being, it is as real as this so-called waking world. Two, three questions come now. Where was this the movie of dream going on? Was it going on outside of you, or inside of you, or in you? Three questions. The entire dream prapancha, the dream brahmanda which we are experiencing, was it being experienced outside of you, or inside of you, or in you? You were that itself. But the problem is, we don't understand. This is also another dream which is going on. This is also another dream which is going on, about which we have a sense of realism. We have never questioned it. The day we understand this is also a dream which is going on, our problem will be solved. And you are that screen on which this dream is coming and going on. Let it come. Where is the problem? Problem lies only in one thing: ignorance, avidya. So that is why, to treat this disease of avidya, we need Brahma Vidya, Atma Vidya, the science of the Atman. That is what Upanishads teach us. So ultimately, if we just look into that movie and screen illustration, is movie a second entity existing separated from the screen? And what is this movie? As I said, it is an experience of something which is not actually existing. Is this not a fact? Is the movie actually existing? Without actually existing, it is being experienced. Mahadbhutam anirvachaniyam. Again, I repeat this sentence. This is very, very important. Without actually existing, it is being experienced. This is the meaning of this so-called Jagat is Mithya. Without actually existing, it is being experienced. If you probe into it, it will become clear. So what the Upanishads want to say is, you just see, if you just dig into the movie, what emerges? Again, I repeat this point. If you really probe into the movie, what emerges? The screen will emerge. If I dig into the human being, where is the human being? Brahman emerges. If I dig into this world, where is the world? The screen called Brahman emerges. As long as you don't do this digging and probing, we are living in a state of hypnosis. Again, I repeat. As long as we don't do this probing and investigation, we are living in a state of hypnosis. And within that framework of hypnosis, no matter what you do, it will continue. This hypnosis can be broken this very moment, Upanishad says. Not even to wait till the time of death. Why? Why death? Why wait for that moment of death to come? We can lead a life of freedom here itself. Upanishad always stresses freedom when we are alive here itself. So beautiful. So if we just look into this vision, that whatever we are seeing, it is actually speaking Brahman. But because we have not investigated into it, we think that it is Jiva and Jagat. The idea of a second separated entity called Jiva and Jagat is based on avidya. When this avidya is removed, this very thing will be seen as nothing but Brahman and Brahman alone. So what we are actually looking for, it is there in our experience itself. Now this very experience in this hall, beautiful. Somebody is talking and a group of people, they are listening. It's an experience, is it not? It's an anubhuti. It's an experience. This experience is soaked, saturated with the presence of Brahman. Can we feel it? This very experience here, this very moment, where is God? Here and there. This very experience is saturated with the presence of that supreme reality called Brahman. Brahman is nowhere else. God is nowhere else. It is present right in our experience itself. Upanishads teach us to dig it out. It is a khanana prakriya. Shankaracharya says khananam. The word used is khananam. Khananam means what? Excavation. Is it not? Khanana kriya. Excavate. You are excavating. You are digging out the truth which is present right here, right now. When you probe into it, the truth comes out. If you don't probe, this state of delusion, this state of hypnosis continues unendingly. And within that hypnosis, no matter what you do, kurute ganga sagara gamanam, vrata paripalanam athavadanam, jnana vihina sarvamatena muktim na bhajati janmashatena. Therefore, bhaja govindam, govindam bhaja mudhamate, samprapte sannihite marane nahi nahi rakshati tunkrim karane. Electrifying words. What is the meaning of this bhaja govindam? Bhaja govindam means nothing else. Dig out the truth. The truth which is present in our own experience, dig it out. We can do it. Every human being has got that faculty. We have been gifted with that faculty. So this is the meaning of Jagat Mithya. The idea that it is second separated entity called world is existing, that is existing only in our ignorance. Now if we just look into all the great teachers in our parampara, starting from the greatest teachers of the Upanishads, Shri Krishna, Bhagavad Gita, amazing. I consider Bhagavad Gita to be the greatest work of all times. Absolutely no comparison to it. In the 9th chapter, Krishna says about this very Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam, Pavitram, Idamuttamam. This is Raja Vidya. Raja Vidya means the greatest of the sciences, the supreme science, the science of consciousness. Atma Vidya is the greatest science. And he says, it is pratyakshaavagamam. So beautiful. Krishna says, it is directly perceivable. It is directly realizable. Anybody can realize it. Susukham kartum. It is very easy to practice. Look at the words of this great master. Somehow, I always say, we have been deluded, or we have been, somehow we have been made to think that, no, Advaita is very difficult. Advaita is very difficult. I always say Advaita is the simplest thing actually. Everything outside of Advaita is compounded and complicated. When you come to dualism, it is all complications. It is all filled with so many imaginary ideas which cannot be verified. Advaita is the simplest thing. It is the simplest naked truth. Shankaracharya says, how is that you will not know your own true self? Only one thing. Absence of Viveka and Vairagya. That's all, nothing else. If we cultivate even a little bit of Viveka and Vairagya, you see, this truth becomes directly realizable this very moment. In this very experience here, God is present. Not God limited in certain form, in certain localized idea of God. I always say, it is a localized idea of God. You cannot localize it. You cannot narrow it down to a certain form. That thing called reality alone is existing here, right now. And the way to realize that is what the great Upanishads teach us. So all this, I was referring to the great teachers in our parampara. Starting from the greatest rishis of the Upanishads, down in the series, all masters, immortal words, Sri Krishna, Shankaracharya, coming down to the great Vivekananda and Ramakrishna, all of them in one voice. They were all the teachers of this wisdom of realizing the truth right when we are alive, not when we are dead. So this is the meaning of Brahma, Satyam, and Jagat Mithya. As long as you don't investigate, you don't probe, we live with this hypnosis. Swami Vivekananda, in America, I hope I can take 5 minutes, Maharaj. In America, Swami Vivekananda was... I always ask this question. What did Vivekananda preach for 9 years? Did he preach anything apart from the Atman and Brahman? Nothing but this Atman, Brahman, Atman, Brahman. You are the Atman, you are the Atman. It can be realized now. Pratyakshaavagamam. They were all great teachers of this Atman idea. There is no other God apart from the Atman. Rest everything, yes, we can. They may be good imaginations, helpful in our spiritual life, but essentially it's all Atman, nothing else. So, in America, Vivekananda was addressing an audience like this. So he is constantly telling, you are the Atman, you are the Atman, you are the Atman. Right now, right here, you are the Atman. So somebody from the audience stood up and said, Swamiji, you are hypnotizing us. You are, if you tell 100 times, you are the Atman, you are the Atman, you are the Atman, you are the Atman, we begin to believe it. So, somebody from the audience stood up and said, Swamiji, you are simply hypnotizing us. Swamiji said, I'm not hypnotizing you. You are already hypnotized. You are already hypnotized to think that I am a jiva, I am a man, I am a woman, this is a world, this is all pure hypnosis. I am dehypnotizing you. Upanishads, Shankaracharya, they were all great dehypnotizers. Sri Ramakrishna was a great dehypnotizer. Unless we come out of this hypnosis, there is no escape from human suffering. You can have some cosmetic solutions, but it is not going to put an end to human suffering as long as we don't become our own. As long as we don't become swastha. As long as we don't become healthy. So, all of us striving here should be to become healthy in the true sense. That health which comes when we become established in our true self. Then we become swastha. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
এত সুন্দরভাবে আমাদের আলোচনা হলো, স্বাস্থ্যবান হতে হবে, প্রথমে বলেছেন, শেষেও বললেন। আমরা কায়স্থ হয়ে বসে আছি, স্বাস্থ্য নই, কায়স্থ ইন জেনারেল। মানে শরীরও কাজ আমাদের, শরীরের যেমন শরীর আছে ফিজিক্যাল, তেমনি মনেরও শরীর আছে ফিজিক্যাল, সব কায়স্থ হয়ে বসে আছি। তা মহারাজ, আমাদের স্টকে কোনো ওয়ার্ড নেই, তোমাকে ধন্যবাদ দেওয়ার। আমরা মেসমেরাইজড হয়েছিলাম, হিপনোটাইজড হয়েছিলাম, এবং যেটা সহজ কথা, জগৎটা মিথ্যা, আমি আছি বলি আমার ছায়াটা আছে। ছায়াটা আনরিয়েল নয়, ছায়াটা রিয়েল, দেখতে পাচ্ছি, কিন্তু ওরা সত্যি সত্যি থাকতে পারে না। যেমন মুভিতে বলেছেন, অপূর্ব জিনিস। আর আমরা গভীর সুষুপ্তিতে, গভীর ঘুমে ওই অনুভবটা পাই। অনুভব সেখানে করার সুযোগ নেই, মন তো নেই, অনুভব করবে কে? ওই অবস্থার মধ্যে একীভূত হয়ে থাকি। জাগ্রত এবং স্বপ্ন নিয়ে আমরা মেতে আছি। সর্বত্রই কায়ের ব্যাপার, শরীরের ব্যাপার। কিন্তু ওইখানে আমরা খানিকটা সুস্থ হই, স্বাস্থ্য পেয়ে যাই। ইনক্লিনেশনটা আমার মানে, we know that we are that, but we do not want to explain that state. সেটাই হয়েছে রোগ। আর ঠাকুরের যে কথাটা ব্রহ্ম মানে অদ্বৈত জ্ঞান আঁচলে বেঁধে যা ইচ্ছা তাই কর। যা ইচ্ছা তাই কর মানে কি চুরি ডাকাতি করব, খুন জখম করব? না, তা না। যা ইচ্ছা তাই কর তার মানে তুমি দ্বৈতবাদ নিয়ে থাকো, বিশিষ্ট দ্বৈতবাদ নিয়ে থাকো, যে কোনো বাদ নিয়ে থাকো না কেন, যদি অদ্বৈত জ্ঞান আঁচলে থাকে তাহলে কোথাও তোমার কোনো ক্ষতি হবে না। তা নইলে পরে তুমি কিন্তু মারা পড়বে। সেই জন্যই সাবধান করে দিচ্ছেন যে অদ্বৈত, তুরীয়ানন্দ স্বামীজি এই কথাটাই বলছেন যে অদ্বৈত জ্ঞান আঁচলে বেঁধে যা ইচ্ছা তাই কর। ওইসব করে না, তুমি যে কোনো একটা মত নিয়ে থাকতে পারো, তখন কোনো অসুবিধা হবে না। তা আমরা ব্রহ্ম সত্য, জগৎ মিথ্যা, এই মুহূর্তেই আমরা ইয়ৈব তৈর্জিত স্বর্গে যে সাম্যে স্থিত মন, এই সমত্ব, এই ডিভিশন নেই। ডিভিশনটাই তো সবচেয়ে বড় কথা, ডিভিশনটা কোথাও নেই, সব এক। এইখানেই হয়, এই মুহূর্তেই হয়, এইখানেই হয়। স্বামীজি গীতাই বলছেন, মহারাজ সুন্দরভাবে বললেন, আমরা তার কাছে কৃতজ্ঞ। আমি বললাম যে এক্সপ্লোসিভ বক্তা, অস্বীকার করার উপায় নাই। যেরকম মানে থাম্পিং অথরিটি নিয়ে বলছেন, তার মানে কি অন্তর থেকে সেগুলো আসছে। আমরা তাকে আমাদের মধ্যে পেয়ে উল্লসিত এবং উদ্ভাসিত, আমরা তাকে আমাদের প্রীতি, শ্রদ্ধা, শুভেচ্ছা, ভালোবাসা জানাই। জয় মা, হরি ওম তৎসৎ।